The chandelier above glittered like it was mocking me. Every laugh, every clink of champagne glasses, every fake cheer sliced through the music like knives. I stood near the far corner of the ballroom, right where my mother had told me to stay, behind the flower stands. "Don't ruin the wedding, stay at the back," she'd said, eyes sharp enough to cut glass. "Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below." We read every comment. Let's begin. So here I was, hidden behind the roses she loved so much, watching her beam beside my sister, the perfect daughter in lace and diamonds. The music swelled as the guests toasted. To Emily and Connor, someone shouted, and everyone raised their glasses. I just smiled faintly, invisible as ever. But then one voice, cold and amused, broke through the noise. "You look like you're planning your escape," it said. I turned. A man had sat beside me, out of nowhere. He didn't belong here, you could tell instantly. His suit wasn't rented. It was cut to precision, midnight black with a faint sheen that caught the light. He looked like someone who didn't ask for attention. It simply happened to him. "Sorry," I murmured. "Didn't mean to sit in your way." He studied me with eyes the color of storm clouds. "You're not in my way. You just look like you're trying very hard not to exist." I forced a smile. "That's the assignment." He tilted his head slightly, intrigued. "Who gave you that one?" "My mother." He laughed once, quiet but real. "Ah, a family dictator." I didn't answer. My mother's voice was echoing again at the mic. "I'm so proud of my daughter," she said, gazing at Emily. "She's the one who makes this family proud." The crowd clapped. Cameras flashed. I sank lower into my seat. The man's gaze flicked to me again. "And what about you?" "What about me? Don't you make them proud?" A bitter laugh escaped before I could stop it. "I make them quiet. That's my role." He didn't look away. "That's not a role," he said. "That's punishment." I froze. His words landed harder than I expected. Nobody had ever said it out loud. Not like that. "Look," I muttered, trying to end it. "You don't have to talk to me. I'm fine here." He leaned back, unfazed. "If you were fine, you wouldn't keep checking the exit every 5 seconds." I opened my mouth to argue, and stopped. Because he was right. Before I could reply, my sister's voice echoed through the hall. "Oh, there she is." Every head turned. My stomach dropped. Emily, glowing in her white gown, smiled sweetly toward me. "Lily, don't hide. Come up here, say a few words." Mom's smile tightened. "That's not necessary." "Oh, come on, Mom," Emily interrupted. "She can finally contribute something useful tonight." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Hot, cruel laughter. My throat burned. The man beside me didn't move, but something changed in his eyes. Cold turned to steel. He stood. The laughter faltered as people noticed him. His presence carried weight, the kind that commanded silence without a word. He turned to me, extending a hand. "Come with me." "What?" I whispered, frozen. He didn't repeat it, just waited, steady, sure and calm. The entire hall was watching. My mother's face twisted in disbelief. "Excuse me, who are you?" she demanded. He met her glare, without blinking. Someone who doesn't appreciate cruelty disguised as family humor. The room fell silent. Every heartbeat in my chest echoed loud enough to drown the music. I hesitated, then slowly took his hand. He led me past the tables, through the stairs, right to the center of the ballroom. I could feel the whispers, the tension. My sister's forced smile cracked. My mother's pride curdled into anger. "Who is he?" someone whispered. "Is that Nathan Cole?" Another murmured, and I saw heads turn sharply. Nathan Cole, the billionaire investor who rarely appeared in public, known for demolishing entire corporations with a single deal. I looked up at him in disbelief. "You're that Nathan Cole?" I whispered. He glanced down at me, calm and firm. "Right now, I'm just the man who refuses to let you sit in the shadows." And then he turned to the crowd, to my family, and said clear and slow, "You've all spent the night celebrating love, yet you humiliate one of your own. Maybe you should reconsider what kind of love you're actually toasting." You could have heard a pin drop. Even the violinist stopped mid-note. Mom's mouth opened, but no words came. Emily's husband looked at his shoes. And I, for the first time, didn't look away. Nathan's voice softened, but only for me. "You're not invisible anymore." Something shifted deep inside me, something that had been buried for years. I didn't know what it meant yet, but I knew this. For the first time, I wasn't alone in the room. And the people who had laughed at me, they weren't laughing anymore. The silence after Nathan's words was heavy, thick enough to choke on. I could feel every pair of eyes locked on us. My mother's smile had frozen into something brittle, her knuckles white around the stem of her champagne glass. Nathan stood beside me, unshaken. His presence filled the room like quiet thunder. "I'm sorry, who exactly are you?" my mother finally said, voice trembling but pretending confidence. "Nathan Cole," he replied, his tone smooth but sharp enough to slice through the tension. "And you must be the woman who thought hiding her daughter would make the family shine brighter." Gasps rippled through the guests. Mom's hand faltered. "Mr. Cole," she said tightly, "this is a private family event. We don't need outsiders lecturing us." Nathan smiled faintly. "Funny. I was invited by your son-in-law's company as a potential investor. But I guess that invitation doesn't extend to common decency." Emily's eyes widened. "Wait, you're the Nathan Cole? From Cole Enterprises?" "Last I checked," he said dryly. My father stood then, trying to reassert control. "Listen, Mr. Cole, I don't know what my daughter told you, but this is a misunderstanding." Nathan's expression hardened. "I didn't need her to tell me anything. I heard enough from that microphone." He looked straight at my mother. "You raised a daughter only to humiliate her publicly? For what status? Applause?" No one moved. The air felt charged, as though the entire room was holding its breath. I swallowed hard. "Nathan, it's fine." "No," he cut in, turning to me, his voice low and steady. "It's not fine. You've been told to stay small long enough." Something inside me cracked open again, but this time it wasn't pain. It was release. I met my mother's glare with a calm I didn't know I had. "You wanted me to stay quiet," I said softly. "Guess that didn't work." Murmurs rose among the crowd. My father's face flushed red. Emily tugged at his sleeve, whispering frantically. But Nathan wasn't done. He turned to the guests and said, "Since we're celebrating, let's make it memorable." Then, with effortless composure, he stepped toward the microphone on the stage. The band fell silent. Everyone watched. "Tonight," Nathan began, his voice carrying like a current, "I was supposed to finalize a business deal. But instead, I witnessed something more revealing than any balance sheet." He paused, looking toward my family table. "I saw a woman treated like she didn't exist, by her own blood. And that says more about character than any wedding toast ever could." Whispers erupted, sharp and fast. My mother's face drained of color. My sister tried to laugh it off, but her fiancé looked mortified. Nathan continued, "For those who don't know me, I invest in people, people who fight, fall, and rise again. People like her." He nodded toward me. "Her name is Lily Moore. Remember it, because someday soon, you'll see it attached to something remarkable." The applause began timidly from somewhere near the back, but it grew. Real, loud applause. I stood frozen, my heart pounding in my throat. Every sound blurred together. The clapping, the whispers, the shock. Nathan handed me the mic. "Your turn," he said quietly. My fingers trembled, but when I spoke, my voice was steady. For years, I thought silence was survival. I thought if I stayed quiet, they'd stop seeing me as a disappointment. I looked straight at my mother. But silence isn't peace, it's prison. The crowd fell utterly still. Mom started to speak, but I raised a hand. "You told me I'd never make you proud. You said I'd ruin every room I entered. So I stayed out of them. Until now." Nathan's gaze didn't waver. He stood behind me like an anchor. "I'm done hiding behind your pride," I said, my voice trembling but fierce. Because maybe the only thing I ever needed to stop ruining was myself. The room burst into whispers again, some clapping, some stunned. My father sat down heavily, his jaw tight. Emily looked furious, humiliated. And my mother? She didn't move. Not once. Nathan took the mic gently from my hand, his tone shifting to quiet resolve. "Ms. Moore," he said, "you just won the only battle that ever mattered." He set the microphone down, nodded to the crowd, and guided me away from the stage. The band hesitated, then started playing again. Awkwardly, softly. People began talking, pretending nothing had happened, but the atmosphere had shifted entirely. Outside the ballroom doors, I finally breathed. The night air felt sharp against my skin, cleansing. Nathan looked at me for a long moment. "You okay?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I've never done that before." He smiled faintly. "It suits you." I let out a shaky laugh. "You realize they'll hate me for this?" "They already did," he said simply. "Now at least they'll have a reason that matters." His calmness grounded me. There was no pity in his voice, just truth. "I don't even know how to thank you," I said. "You don't owe me anything," he replied. "But if you're ready to stop letting them define you, I can help you find what comes next." I frowned. "What do you mean?" He looked toward the city skyline beyond the parking lot. "You said you studied design, right? Your mother mentioned it when she was bragging about your sister's business degree." I blinked. "How did you?" "I listen," he said simply. "And I have a foundation that funds independent artists and startups. Something tells me your story isn't over yet." My breath caught. "You'd really do that? For someone who just stood up to a room full of cowards?" His eyes softened. "Absolutely." The weight in my chest loosened, years of shame and silence starting to lift. I didn't know where this would go, but for the first time, the night didn't feel like a wound. It felt like a beginning. Behind us, the ballroom doors opened. My mother's voice echoed faintly inside, sharp and panicked. But I didn't look back. Nathan glanced at me, his tone quiet but firm. "Let them talk. They already did their part in your story. Now it's time you write the rest." I smiled faintly. "Then I guess it's time they finally learn who I am." And for the first time in my life, I meant it. The next morning, the world didn't feel the same. Sunlight streamed through my blinds, soft but sharp, like a new beginning cutting through an old wound. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, texts, missed calls, and notifications piling one after another. "Mom, you humiliated this family." "Emily, you ruined my wedding night." "Unknown number." That speech was incredible. "Respect." The last message made me pause. It wasn't from Nathan. It was from someone named Rachel Lee, assistant, Cole Enterprises. "Mr. Cole would like to meet with you at 10 a.m. today, if you're available." My heart skipped. Was he serious about helping me? I showered, dressed, and for the first time in years, looked at myself without flinching. No fancy clothes, no expensive makeup, just me. Real. When I arrived at Cole Enterprises, the glass towers reflected the morning sky like polished steel. Inside, the lobby was all marble, clean lines, and confidence. I felt like a speck in a storm. But then the elevator doors opened, and there he was. Nathan Cole, the man who had changed everything. "Right on time," he said, smiling. "That's already better than half my board members." I managed a nervous laugh. Still not sure why I'm here. He walked beside me down the hallway lined with abstract art. Because last night wasn't a coincidence. I don't believe in them. I believe in moments that reveal who people truly are. And you, Lily, you didn't just stand up to your family. You stood up to yourself. My chest tightened. "You don't even know me." "I know courage when I see it." He stopped at a glass-walled office overlooking the city. "And I know talent when I read it." He handed me a sleek tablet. On the screen was my old online portfolio, design sketches I'd posted years ago, ones I thought nobody ever noticed. "I saw this last night," Nathan said. "Raw. Honest. You've got potential." I want you to design for the Pierce project, our new luxury renovation line. I blinked. You're offering me a job? He smiled. A partnership. You'll work under my creative director until you find your footing. For a second, I couldn't breathe. Why me? He shrugged lightly. Because sometimes the best people are the ones left behind the flower stands. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. Then his tone shifted, more serious. But Lily, understand something, this isn't charity. You'll earn everything here. You'll prove them wrong not by what you say, but by what you build. I nodded, eyes stinging. That's all I ever wanted. Just as we were about to shake hands, my phone buzzed again. It was my mother. This time, the message read, "We need to talk. It's urgent." Nathan noticed the look on my face. "You don't have to answer that," he said calmly. "I think I do," I murmured. "She never says urgent unless it's about control." He hesitated. "You sure?" "Yeah," I said. "If I don't face her now, she'll always own that fear." Later that afternoon, I met my parents at their house. The same house I'd grown up in, the place that never felt like home. Mom opened the door, eyes red, voice trembling. "You had no right to humiliate us," she snapped. "Us?" I asked quietly. "Or you?" Her jaw tightened. Dad stood behind her, silent as always. "You think that man cares about you?" she hissed. "He'll drop you the moment he's done." I met her glare, calm for once. "Maybe. But even if he does, I'll still be standing. Because this time, I'm the one who decides who I am." She stared at me, speechless. I stepped back, my heart steady. "Goodbye, Mom." When I walked out, Nathan's car was parked across the street. He rolled down the window, faint smile tugging at his lips. "You handled that well." I exhaled. "I didn't break this time." He nodded. "That's because you finally stopped being what they told you to be." As the city lights came on, I realized something. This wasn't just about revenge or pride. It was about reclaiming my life. And maybe, just maybe, it was only the beginning. 6 months later, I walked into the same ballroom where my sister's wedding had once felt like a prison. Only this time, I wasn't hiding behind the flower stands. I was walking straight to the front. The event banner read, "Cole Enterprises Exmoor Designs, Launch Gala." My designs. My name. The chandeliers gleamed above me again, but now the light felt warm, not cruel. The crowd wasn't whispering about my failures anymore. They were applauding the woman who had transformed forgotten spaces into modern art. My company, yes, my company, had become the talk of the city. And beside me, as always, was Nathan Cole. Calm, composed, and proud in that quiet way of his. "You've done it," he said, handing me a glass of champagne. "We've done it," I corrected softly. He smiled. "No, Lily. You did this. I just made sure the world watched while you rose." Before I could respond, the crowd parted and my mother appeared, dressed elegantly, but her face carried something new, uncertainty. Not the arrogance she once wore, like perfume. "Lily," she began, voice tight. "You look different." I nodded politely. "That's what happens when you stop being ashamed." She flinched. "I didn't mean to hurt you that night. I just wanted things to be perfect." "Perfect for who?" I asked quietly. "For you? Or for the people you were trying to impress?" Her lips trembled. I was wrong. The words hit harder than I expected. For years, I'd begged for them, dreamed of them, but hearing them now felt hollow, like she was chasing something already gone. "I don't hate you, Mom," I said, "but I'm done needing your approval." Tears welled in her eyes. She reached out, hesitating. "Can we start over?" I shook my head gently. "You're welcome in my life, but not in control of it." She lowered her hand. For the first time, she looked small, not powerful, not proud, just human. Before the silence could stretch too long, Nathan stepped beside me. "Mrs. Moore," he said evenly, "your daughter has built something extraordinary. You should be proud, not because of what it makes you look like, but because of who she became despite everything." My mother blinked, words caught in her throat. Nathan didn't wait for her response. He guided me back toward the stage. The host handed me the microphone. The crowd's applause faded as I looked out over them. Faces filled with curiosity, admiration, even a few from my past who'd once laughed at me. 6 months ago, I began. I was the girl standing behind the decorations, praying no one noticed me. I thought silence was strength and that love had to be earned by shrinking. But someone reminded me that being unseen isn't peace, it's surrender. I looked toward Nathan. He smiled, just enough for me to feel it. So tonight, I continued, this is for everyone who's ever been told they don't belong in the room. You don't need permission to stand in the light. You just have to stop apologizing for taking up space. The applause was thunderous, real, alive, and deafening. Cameras flashed. My chest ached, but it wasn't pain. It was pride, raw, honest pride that I'd fought for. As the music swelled again, Nathan leaned in. You did more than stand up for yourself, he said. You turned humiliation into power. I laughed softly. Guess that's the best kind of revenge. He tilted his head, amused.
No, Lily.
Revenge fades, but becoming someone they can't ignore? That lasts. I looked around the room, the same chandeliers, the same walls, but a completely different story. My story. Mom stood near the back, watching me. For once, her smile wasn't fake. It was small, sad, and maybe proud. Nathan offered his hand. Ready to start the next chapter? I took it. I already did. And as the crowd erupted in applause, I realized something deeper. What I'd been chasing all along wasn't validation. It was freedom. That night, under the same lights that once mocked me, I wasn't invisible anymore. I was undeniable.